Hello from Los Angeles. My name is John Kyo, and welcome to the 2020 version of the Future of Food 10 by 10 CEO series. In this series, I'll speak with 10 CEOs for 10 minutes to learn a little bit about their company, but more importantly, to hear what they think are the key challenges in the food industry and also the key opportunities and how their companies are working on those opportunities. And I'm delighted to have with me today from Alberta in Canada, Erik Westblom. Erik is the CEO of Provision Analytics. Erik, welcome.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
Now, Erik, the 10 minutes goes very, very fast. So in 30 seconds or less, what is the elevator pitch of Provision Analytics?
So, John, what we've done over the last 2 years is we've really focused on building out a digital solution for food safety and traceability. But the backbone and the key differentiator is we've tried to really visualize that traceability and bring it down to every single key attribute of information as it flows through any element of the food value chain. Our core focus right now is really on fresh produce and grains. As part of that process, you can think of any element of receiving raw material through brokering, packing houses, production, manufacturing, and then applying some deep machine learning underneath that to help streamline the process in the hopes of creating efficiencies and reducing food loss.
Wonderful. Thank you, Erik, for that. So, Erik, in the few years that you've been together now with your team and building out your solution set, what do you see as the core or the key challenges that the food industry are dealing with today?
You know, John, when we got things off the ground, doing a lot of research leading up to the launch of the company in early 2018, we did a tremendous amount of research of over 200,000 companies in North America. And I think the biggest learning was just how fragmented the food ecosystem is, regardless of the food vertical. So as we dove into that, we were really looking at opportunities to find efficiencies within the data. And inherently, we found that probably the biggest challenge is finding that data in a format of something that's actually usable. So much exists today on whiteboards, spreadsheets, chalkboards in some cases, and a lot of paper. So diving into that has been both enlightening and challenging.
Gotcha. That's very interesting. So we'll come back to that one on the data, Erik. So in those 2 years, when you're coming out of that, obviously you looked at 200,000 companies, which is incredible data sample size. What came out as the key opportunities that the food industry needs to focus on, and how are you structuring your solution set to address those opportunities?
So definitely, I think the biggest opportunity we've identified in terms of the whole technology shift within food, if it's one of the last, I guess you could say, frontiers in terms of technological innovation, is going to be partnership. So there are a handful of companies out there in North America, Europe, all over the world that are trying to innovate this ecosystem right now. Everybody's seeing the hordes of venture capital money that are moving into food and ag tech. And given the fragmentation within the industry and just how many different nodes there are in the supply chain, how many different food verticals there are, it's far too big for any one player to capitalize on that market, despite some of the vision and mission statements that are out there. So I think the greatest opportunity is for technology players at the various stages to partner together, share that data to provide insights and opportunities for everybody along the way. Because like I said, realistically, it's too big, it's too antiquated, and it's too fragmented for anyone to really succeed on their own.
Let me pick up on that point, Erik, about collaboration with other companies. How important is that aspect of interoperability? And then if you tie the data into that, how do we fix the data and then drive towards interoperable systems?
So technology in general, the big shift over the last 10 years around API frameworks has allowed companies and what I guess you could say 10, 15 years ago could have been considered competitors to work a lot more closely together to provide multi-stage solutions. That's really how we've focused things on our side, is to be an API first company. We're prepared and ready to tie into anybody to provide solutions to these customers. Now, specifically with the data, we approach things from day one on building a very structured and scalable data model. You could say that is our differentiating factor, is the proprietary approach to data and how we've organized everything underneath is designed to build machine learning and build artificial intelligence algorithms. One thing we're working on right now, both with academic partners and some other data partners, is predictive recall as one of many different algorithms that we can derive from all this data that's coming in. So the list is as you imagine it from there, but it really starts with that structured data model, working with partners and pulling it all into I guess you could almost say a common or normalized framework for how food data is viewed.
That's great, Erik. And so when I hear you talking about predictive recall, that rings a bell with me because I helped develop the first recall standards and recall platforms. So you mentioned a lot about AI and machine learning. So I take it you're not a blockchain platform. You're focused on AI and machine learning. But when you're executing a model for predictive recall, is that across platform? Is that across multiple platforms and multiple trading partners? How would that work?
So your comment on blockchain is correct. We did do a deep analysis of blockchain technology as a potential step forward and just decided that based on the vision of our company, it wasn't going to work. There are many viable, you could say, data structures out there that you can use. We ultimately didn't go with it. When it comes to artificial intelligence and that scalability, it really comes down to, like I said, a structured framework and then focusing on one or two food verticals first. So naturally, with the increasing number of food products from raw to finished, we had to really drill our solution into key categories up front. So whether that's predictive recall or carbon efficiency or whatever you're looking at in terms of the product moving through, it starts with taking some historic or referential data sets. So John, you'd be familiar with a lot of the stuff that's out there. We used the 50-year history of recall in Canada, the US, and the EU as a baseline, and then derived some of our own mathematical models internally to apply that to some of the proprietary data we're pulling in to start generating those insights.
That's pretty incredible. So Erik, would you say then that for startups in this area, picking your use case is critically important?
You know, picking your use case is absolutely important. Reading everything you can is very important. Trying to partner up and share ideas is elemental to the whole thing. With the big surge in interest in food and ag tech, there's a lot of opportunities to share ideas and partner up with other individuals so that you're learning as quickly as the market is innovating. Right now, you're seeing everything from soil innovation to supply chain, food safety, all the way to retail. It's a really, really big space. It's a big ecosystem. And I think one of the biggest things from the entrepreneurial standpoint is share your idea with as many people as possible. There's a good chance that somebody's out there trying to do it or something similar already. Get it out on the table, start poking holes in it, and read as much as you can.
Great, Erik. So I have two questions, 30 seconds each before we conclude. The first quick question: can algorithms go wrong?
Yeah, absolutely right. Those algorithms are only as good as they're designed and as good as the data is clean.
Gotcha. Erik, in the last 30 seconds, if you were up in front of 50 new CEOs, startups in the food industry, CEOs who are very enthusiastic to bring a new product to the market, and you were asked to stand in front of them and talk about technology, what would you tell them?
I really think that, like I said, don't be afraid to share your idea. Get up there, network as much as possible. Partnership opportunities will take you a lot farther than you can go by yourself. And as far as technology specifically, there's a lot of different options. There's a lot of different opportunities. Maybe don't get pulled into the folklore or the media momentum that can get behind certain things. Do your own research and figure out what applies best to the problem you're trying to solve.
Wonderful. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Alberta in Canada. Erik Westblom, the CEO of Provision Analytics. Erik, thank you so much for sharing those 10 minutes with us.
Thanks, John. I really appreciate it.